I forget if I read this correctly. I believe one of the hint tiles will always tell you where boots are.
That is correct. One of the 5 useful hints is always the boots. So it's a nice little thing.
And it looks like we are off. We've got Cactuar, the transformed Terra from Final Fantasy VI, Link, and I believe that is Phoenix Wright that Zelda is using. We also have an all-crystal light world.
That's somewhat useful information in that you won't have to do much of the Dark World. We are seeing the bottom screens doing going straight to Lost Woods while 2 are going to Uncle's. They're going through this different ways. The one on Barnage's side is a little bit more conservative. You're checking a little bit more information, like the bomb tree. You're checking this die, the hoarder, to find out if they're dropping useful items. And you know what? They are. Bombs at the tier 1 and 20s on the hoarder is actually very good.
Yeah, that is pretty nice, actually. We also see Lumberjack Cave, and I couldn't quite see what the item was. Yep, I don't quite remember what that was. Maybe when someone else checks it, we'll know.
And the flute is in the Thieves' Hideout.
Well, that's
so
definitely nice.
That's going to be a little unfortunate for people like me who choose to usually start from the south. Grabs the money from Houlihan and then goes through the south then to get guaranteed bombs that way. I will... these runners are all probably going to get their flute. And then from their flute, they're going to just activate it right away. Like, it's just going to be the best route on this seed.
Yeah, that's definitely what most of the runners will be doing. Anybody who did take that lower route, though, will not be happy to see that flute later. That does give them immediate access to Death Mountain, but we don't really get access to much items without, well, a couple more progression items to get across the mountain. Speaking of which, there's Canis Samaria.
Of note, there is a hint tile, so it actually changes up how you do an early Death Mountain check. Instead of checking the item and then just save and quitting if you see nothing, you usually just jump down and grab the item no matter what it is. Like, you just don't look for it because it's a hint tile. It's not actually that much of a time loss to check.
Right, there is a telepathy tile in the Spectacle Rock Cave. I'd forgotten about that. But yeah, also within the Blind Hut, aside from the Canis Samaria, was Blue Mail.
Oh, and there's a sword.
Yep, there's our weapon. And a lot of money.
Interestingly enough, if you get a hint that a weapon is somewhere, that is actually specifically referring to the weapons, I believe, that can be used as Uncle starts, except the sword is something sharp and not a weapon in the hint tiles. That was changed in a hotfix. The sword is given a different hint than the weapon pool.
It looks like Ball Vendor was a broker today. He just gave everybody 300 rupees for giving him only 100.
There's something fishy there.
I would also like to point out we found the cape, so we're a lamp away from potentially having to go and see Aga.
I actually don't mind doing Aga as long as it's something required. It's when you do something like Pinky Rose did in yesterday's qualifier, where it was not required at all, and that can lose you a lot of time. Although sometimes it actually saves you. There are some seeds where it would have just been faster if you just did Agonum rather than run around this world in 4 circles.
Yeah, that can certainly be a painful one.
And as somebody else points out in chat, there is a hint tile in Agonum. The only way you'd probably ever see that, it's actually so far up you wouldn't even see it generally in Randomizer. Or sorry, not in Randomizer, sorry, in Key Sanity. It's actually past the second chest. So it's a very uncommon spot to see.
We found flippers in the tavern, so no water walking today.
And we aren't gonna see we don't know if it's routes locked yet. That's not one of those items that will require it though. Looks like we are going to check it, even though we've got quite a few bombs, we are gonna go check it instead of open it. Just being a little bit more conservative, and it works out, it's just a piece of heart. And with the flute, you can just flute away and going straight to Death Mountain. Gonna save the old man out of sequence.
Yep, gonna sequence break up the mountain and get the old man out of the dark cave.
I wonder if he's gonna go check that hint tile. It's always curious to see how much people look at the hint tiles. This is open mode, normal difficulty, weapons randomized.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how much certain runners value the new hint system. Barnage, meanwhile, is gonna check the south portion of Hyrule instead of going up to the mountain.
Just a green rupee on the old man.
And
looks like they are going to go up.
Yeah.
Ooh, getting hit by cabbage.
Well, he has a respawn up here now if he wants it, otherwise he'll just move on and check it later.
Yeah, looks like they're just moving on.
Oh, Moon Pearl.
And Moon Pearl.
Extra glossy due to being submerged.
I wonder if with the flippers they're deciding to go a completely alternate route here.
Oh yeah, it looks like they're gonna check the island.
Well, they're probably gonna go do flipper stuff. They have enough money for Zora, so I would not fault them for going this way into. Unless they're checking some out of the way locations that and leaving the bulky locations for later.
Yeah, that could prove advantageous because sometimes runners will put off these out of the way locations for a while and not get to them. And from looks of it, other than the actually the hookshot makes it worth.
Okay, yeah, no, now at this point we definitely want to be doing South Shore. Now there is definitely a route. Oh no, doing the flute. So just grabbing that one item there. Very interesting route and just using the flute to its full advantage here.
Yeah, I have to wonder if Allison here is thinking about, after checking Ice Cave, just taking the Whirlpool then, because it's less time wasted. Still a good distance to swim, I think, no matter which you do, but this may be faster. Still, gotta be careful not to get killed by those crabs.
Yeah, that hookshot opens up a lot of items for our runners, so it'll be interesting to see if they do get, like, say, the hammer or the mirror to get the rest of Light World Death Mountain. But no gloves just yet, so we don't have access to any Dark World locations. We're still 2 items away from that.
Yeah, 2 items from Dark World, 1 item from Aga, which would be either yeah, I was gonna say it has to be a lamp. The sword would be if we didn't have the cape already.
And at this point, with the item set, with already having both flippers and the hookshot, it is actually starting to be more and more possible that that's where we're supposed to be. Like I find that more often than not, if you see this like item set where you have the ability to hit West Dark World without like by doing addendum, I find that Ada is required more often than not. So I would put money on this being an Ada seed. And being one of those Ada seeds. Oh yeah, okay, that helps. I would make this one. I would put money on one of these being one of those Ada seeds where you're in Dark World for a very long time. You basically have to do the full loop, all the way to Hype Cave. Like you're gonna find the hammer in like Hype Cave or something, and so you're gonna have to do like Thieves Town, Stallwoods, and you have to be thorough. You can't miss any spot because you can't get back.
I know those seats. I would say at this point Death Mountain probably is the play though, because that hookshot opens up the right side.
100% agree. I would be like, and the fact that one of our runners has a save and quit there, which is actually quite convenient. Obviously, everyone else. And no, it looks like Maximum Barnage is just going to back here. Interesting.
Yeah, I guess he would like to take a Gina off the table.
Addison is checking food. Just checking the Bond Crocs here. Just 20 rupees.
Looks like Zelda's also going to quickly go check Lumberjack Cave. I didn't see what was in it earlier, so maybe we'll get a better view. Just money and spectacle.
Nope, we are destined to not see it because it laid and we couldn't see what was there.
I think it's just bombs I saw on the restream.
Okay, cool.
And we have Pendant Swamp, Pendant Turtle Rock, and Pendant Thieves Town. Green Pendant at Swamp. 5 and 6 are Mire and Skullwoods.
Maximum Barnage is going to has two options. He can either go to Death Mountain or to the Tassel. Interesting that he is opting to go to the Tassel. I would have left that for last, especially when we're kind of inching towards a item scene, unless he plans on doing it early. It's like essentially just like a heavy divergence, because obviously everyone else, most people will not. I wonder if he'll do Adrenum after he's done Escape.
Yeah, that might be his plan, yeah.
Yes, he actually still doesn't have the lamp, so.
I was gonna say, usually you want the lamp to confirm you have to do Aghanim, but there are runners who are willing to do Dark Aga just to get it out of the way if they think it's gonna be necessary. It's not something you want to do, though.
So we'll see if it is somewhere in here.
And we'll see what the castle's got in store. I'm also getting a nice, good look at Paradox Cave. There's Master Sword. And there's that lamp.
Okay, so. Yeah, I would put money on adding him at this point then. Oh no!
Yeah, I would put money on Naga.
Alazan, he fell down. No! Being a little bit more careful here. Hope we get to see the hint here. They are late in a bit. I mean, I love reading the hints, so I'm a hint fool.
Yeah, I didn't actually catch any hints yet.
There's money in the banana stand.
Yeah, there's a piece of heart on the floating island, so that's not a location we'll be seeing for some time, if at all.
Oh, something to point out that if Adja is required, and it looks like it is, since there isn't many locations left, there's Eastern. Eastern's still available, which nobody has touched yet, on our stream. They are on like 4 hearts.
Yeah, but they got red mail at the very least.
True. I guess that's why people are. Guess that, unfortunately the banana stand hint is being removed, which makes me very sad as an Arrested Development fan. But I guess memes from 2005 are not as funny as joke text.
So,
Master
Orange
Sword.
just did Dark Escape, and I don't know what he got.
And doesn't look like anything extra based on his menu there. Looks like he may be doing Eastern. Oh, he hasn't been to Death Mountain. Oh, right, he hasn't done Zora either.
Yeah.
We're seeing our first check of Eastern here, trying to save themselves from the fate of Aga, but I would honestly do Aga at this point instead of Eastern.
They found a lot of money, by the way.
Yeah.
And I guess Zelda hasn't checked the bridge yet.
Mm-hmm. Each of these runners still has like a few extra areas to check before they choose to do Adrenum.
Yeah, it's the question of, do you think Eastern Palace is worth your time? That's, I think, the one unknown location right now.
I would personally prefer to combine it with Pod in the late game. And there's only, you need 2 items to avoid Adrenum, and there's only 3 in Eastern, so. Now there's a hint, so it depends on how much you value the chance at a hint.
Yeah.
And it's one of those hints that are literally on your way, like you can't, like you'll see it. You're not gonna miss it. And not reading it is miss it, but looks like we are gonna get Zelda, the first runner to go to Aga. At least I would be shocked.
Yeah, Zelda's definitely going to Aga. Unless he's checking Escape first, because I believe only Barnage just checked Escape. Nope, he's going Escape. And it looks like Allison is going to Eastern to check it out. That was one thing I was going to actually note quickly. We did not get the small key, I believe, at all in the castle, so that's one of the items in the back. Which, if they find Power Glove, that is 2 more items they'll be able to check, but it's still looking like Aga. Especially with that being the first item found in Eastern.
Okay, so we are going to see some pretty heavy divergence. I guess we didn't find an extra key to go all the way to the back, or Barnage doesn't know how to finish the Darkest Deep. It is actually pretty difficult if you don't know how to do it. Once you've learned it, thanks to the water, it's not too bad.
Yeah, it's one of the 2. I want to say he did not find the key, but I could be wrong.
I want to say that too. I'm pretty sure he probably didn't have a key. Unless he found it in the dark part and just kind of missed it.
Yeah, if the key in the dark part would be the only point where I would have expected it to be. But whatever he got out of the chest, I don't think we even saw come out of the chest, and I believe... Do keys show up in the dark, actually? I forget.
They do not. Small keys do not.
Oh, that could have been the key. I also just noticed that we found 2 of the items.
Sorry, I did not catch what the next item was. Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Well, we only found 2 items. We've already found 2 items in Eastern, and they were both duds. So there's only 1 location left. I think it's all Aga.
Sure. I just didn't see what the unique item hint was.
If Layra checks it out, we'll be able to catch it. But I did miss it on Alison's screen, unfortunately.
It goes by so quick when you're not explicitly paying attention for it.
Although, according to chat, it was the hint for the boots. So let's find out.
Oh yes, it was. Unique item is in the waterfall. Although it actually, I believe, says the boots are in the waterfall for the boots hint. So that you can have duplicate hints.
That's certainly a shame on that front, because that means they know at least one other hint later is also going to tell them the exact same thing they already know.
Yeah, there is another hint that will be the boots are in the waterfall cave. Well, that one is the unique item is in the waterfall cave.
Alright, so Zelda has started climbing the tower now. And Lyra here about to get the remaining item, which is the big key. So they gotta go check the big chest now. And, oh wait, I guess it was the glove, because Allison just checked the back. Tempered, bottle, and the small key to check the chest.
Small gloves in Eastern is actually, now that I think about it, really big for these runners who have decided to go that far.
Yeah, it's quite useful, though it's still not enough to help them. Allison really needs to find, from this bottle, either Titan's Mitts, or the hammer, or something that opens up more items to keep from having to do Aghanim.
That would be kind of funny if you did go through a very long process and could skip Aghanim, but doesn't look like we will be. Not this time.
Yeah, the only location we have left to check for Allison is Sick Kid. There was a bee in the ball in the back of Escape.
Now with these items, as far as I can tell, with these specific set of items, gloves don't open up anything extra, other than catfish. Catfish will be, oh, I didn't even notice that was tempered. And no, it's a piece of art, so we do actually still have to do it. But some of these runners will have an advantage going into Dark World.
Yeah. And Zelda's about to start Aga. How many blue orb shots are we getting today?
I know, but we do know, for those of you who don't know, the Aga shots are the same for every single runner. There are some RNG, as random as Randomizer is, some things have been removed from the randomization to make racing it just a little bit more fair. Losing a race because you picked the wrong direction already sucks enough, and losing a race because somebody got one blue ball and you got 10 feels even worse.
Speaking of which, we've seen 3 already, and I think Aga's only taken 1 damage.
Oh, and Zelda, in a little bit of anger, I think swiping into the music, has missed a guaranteed. This list could be a while. We might see more than 15.
Yep. 5.
Oh no. It is possible to see more than 15 now. Not anymore. Okay, now it's not. If it was going to be 14, that would have been hilarious. The gloves are in the bid chest in Eastern, so you had to go the whole thing because the bid key was in its vanilla spot. If you did the whole of Eastern, you get the gloves, and that's it. So pin that in your mind for a second, as that could be very important. If the bow is boots, or sorry, if the bow is glove locked, that could be a huge advantage for the runners who've gotten their glove.
Yeah, this also means that Eastern is just waiting to be cleared later when they do have everything they need. There's no more items left to claim from it for those who did do it. 7 blue balls, and that would have been the same case even if Zelda did not miss that hit. That's quite a few.
7, yeah. I think average is 5 or 6.
And that looked like a heart or rupees on the side.
So now with this, sorry, go ahead.
That's not important, you can go.
Okay, now with this route in that we're going to see here, they are going to have no mirror and no other way to access Dark World until they find, well, some of the runners, just the hammer or another glove, and some of these runners will need 2 items. So you're going to see them probably be a little bit more efficient in their routing than normal. I would be surprised to see any of these runners like skip an item. Like, they're probably just going to check everything because they have no way. They would have to just start adding them again.
Yeah. I think the interesting outlier just currently, if some of our runners with gloves decide to check it, is catfish.
Yep. Or runners who decide to go to pod without hammer or bow. I would probably think that only the runners who got their lamp will do that. So those who went to Eastern and got the lamp there. Or no, the lamp was somewhere else. Sorry, was on Death. So
Lamp was on
has
Death Mountain.
Yeah, lamp. Everyone has lamp. We love lamp.
Also, Bumper Cave was just bombs.
You can get to catfish, yes, by jumping into the river. They can get to catfish even without. Oh, actually, some runners can't. Only the runners with gloves can go to catfish.
Yeah, that's why I said it would be an interesting little outlier here, because only Layra and Allison currently can check that location, and it may not be a bad time to check it off.
Now, the thing with these out-of-the-way locations with the hint system, they are all... It's almost worse to check them now until you've checked a few hints and have already set, like... Because you can get a hint for some of these out-of-the-way locations. Before racing this, I would highly recommend going to look at what those locations are, because you can prioritize those less now.
Yeah, like one of the hints, I did a test seed before the tournament, one of them was Graveyard Cliff.
Yep,
and there's a very annoying out-of-the-way location.
Left side mire and left side swamp are both hints. You'll get X and Y are in are fire locked in Misery Mire, and then the other hint is X and Y are in the west side of Swamp. Might be west wing of Swamp, I'm not sure. But either way, it's very explicit that it is the left side of Swamp.
Same basic concept. So, Skull not really providing much of anything on the trip in. Now comes the question of, do you dip Pendant Thieves?
I think in this, because you can't get back here easily, I think you have to.
I think you don't.
You don't have to, but I would. There isn't many spots you can check right now.
Yeah, I would honestly. Oh, there's Hammer.
And I think you definitely check it now with the Hammer, because you're not going to have an item left out. The odd thing is that without gloves, you can't use it. You have to actually do one of the rooms in developer intended way.
Yeah.
In the GBA version, the room with the giant block is Titan's Mitts required. You have to kill the enemies on your way in, but not on your way out. But in the SNES version, they just forgot to code the block that way. And I saw it in chess game, very interesting.
With Turok being a pendant, that's not the most useful of finds. Now, the good news for Layra and Allison is they will almost certainly make their way over to Thieves when they are done with Aghanim, and they will get their hammer, and they will have Dark World access. They will not need to continue making these trips.
Yes. Now, that's really just a convenience thing. Ironically, I don't think they actually opened up any extra locations other than maybe Hera. So Hera's will be opened up for those who have the hammer, but that's actually just everybody. You don't need gloves for that one.
Yeah, I forget, can you reach Pod without hammer? I believe you can.
From Ada, absolutely. The navigation gets a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's the same place from that hook jaw, except you go down after lifting a rock or something. Either way, yeah, the hammer alone does not open up all that much currently to the runners.
Madison did dip out of Thieves. Interesting.
Yeah, so I guess they'll just check the first 4 and decide the piece.
It is risky because you won't be able to get back here for a while unless he finds the glove in Hype Cave.
Yeah.
Or right here, or on the way there to Hype Cave.
Yeah. Nope, Dig Game did not spit out much. As a note, since we are seeing a bunch of bomb and arrow drops, something to note is one of the things that changed in V30 is you cannot find bomb and arrow expansions in chests anymore. If you want those, you have to actually go to the Pond of Happiness where you would normally get them, and it is now a shop where you can purchase the upgrades individually. In turn, there's a lot more just ammo stocks, which means you'll be seeing runners hit the cap on their arrows and bombs a lot more often.
Also means you can be a little bit more risky with your route, and then you don't really have to do the guaranteed bomb routes anymore because you'll almost always have 3 bombs. So
yeah, this is also true. Zelda without the glove went in instinctively for the normal path towards Hype Cave has to go around. Alright, so it looks like Layra is going to check Catfish, and Alzin went to Pod. It's an interesting little split. Wow, that was a miserable Hype Cave.
with the hammer, I could see Zelgadison. Okay, going. No mirror. Hope that they're not going where I think they're going. Oh, are they? They're gonna check the hint tile?
I guess so.
Oh, they have the mirror. Wait. Oh, I don't know where they must have been in Hype Cave. I was looking at something else.
That actually could have been in Thieves. I may have missed that in Thieves. That would explain how Zelda got noked out so easily.
Okay, it was. Thank you, everyone. So much to focus on. So yeah, it looks like Swamp is where we're going. This is a
Zelda
great
can
check.
full clear it. So, in he goes. It is green pendant though,
yep.
so...
Well, I was about to say, actually, this is good route. Oh, there's a unique item in the purple chest.
Yeah, that means purple chest has something in it that might be useful.
Huh. See, this is why I love hints. Because that is information that Zelda has, but that a lot of other runners are not going to have.
Especially given where that hint is. Yeah, that's a very hard one to, you know, get. Barnage, by the way, looks like he's going to actually clear out Thieves fully. But this also means that Zelda is going to probably prioritize doing the Smith route when he gets his mitts.
Oh wait, what was that hint on? Was that something sharp hints for maximum? We already have 3 sword locations.
Whatever it was, it went by a little too fast for me to see it.
It looks like Chad has seen a hint for butter at Sasrala.
Well, Zelda has a full clearing the dungeon.
Huh. So Zelda is going to do this full dungeon for hopefully an item in here, but the green pendant is just going to be a sword. Goes to add a tower hint, thank you. It's very hard to keep track of these. There's so much more now with the hints to keep track of. I've actually found myself like getting a little dizzy in seeds when playing myself. Just trying to find all the hints.
Layra also joining Thieves. Alazin in the maze room in Pod looking for some items. I don't believe they checked the right side yet, and that's probably why they're, I don't know, just saving playing now. If they did, I may have missed it. And it looks like Zelda is going to skip left.
For now.
And I think that might be every item in Thieves Town, because 10 arrows in the big chest, I've seen at least 2 other items. If there's one more I've missed, then that would make all 4. Well, nah, that's definitely all 4. Okay. So just the mirror of use in Thieves Town. Ooh, Zelda found some red goo in the waterfall room. Alright, so I guess something to think about now is... if it's not Swamp that has the item, then where else can our current progression get us?
Odd, Hera,
I think Alizen
yeah,
checked most
Catfish.
of Odd, so... and Catfish ended up turning out a dud. Both Layra and Alizen ended up checking that. So if it's not in Pod, it might be in Hera. Gonna kill Argus with the Ice Rod. Nice kill by Zelda.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the other glove. So that is a required required Swamp Dip.
That's actually huge for him.
Yeah, because not only is he now completely safe on the backtrack, but that was also not a wasted dip at all. He is going to leave the remaining items, though.
Looks like he's going to Sahat to grab that sword.
I don't know if he was planning on dipping Pod, but he has the mirror. He could technically have gone the Dark World path over here. But yeah, that will be his Tempered Sword. Oh, and now he's checking Sick Kid. Right, forgot he had not checked this yet. It looks like Layra's heading up to Hera now, given they now have access to that dungeon. There's only 2 items in Hera, but it is a dungeon they have to clear eventually. Unlimited big key is definitely appreciated. That would be a useless hint right there.
Yeah, the thing I love about hints the most is like the metagame that goes into it. Like some of these runners are going to skip the swamp because they know that the green pendant isn't anything, but then the boss is. So there's just so much to go into the routing for this. It's actually ridiculous.
Speaking of which, we're gonna get Graveyard Cliff and the King's Tomb here.
Also,
Zelda.
yeah, and I mean, and then there's seats for people like the first inverted daily on SG, right after V30 came out. I think it was like this Tuesday. Most people went into go mode sub 40 because we knew where all the items were thanks to the hints.
Speaking of which, we just got a hint that says the Fire Rod requires the bow.
There's very few locations that require only the bow in Randomizer.
Which means side pod?
It means Helma or Armos.
Well, Armos is not an item, but I guess in this particular seed, due to the fact that Ice Palace can be up with Bombos, it could be in GT.
Requires the blank. Requires the Armos itself doesn't, but the mimic, the red mimics before it do. Thus, the item requires the bow.
Yeah.
Oh, apparently the code only has that hint for Helma, so that does actually mean Helma.
Okay, that is Helma then. So, Fire Rod on Helmasaur means don't do Ice Palace. You can't do Ice Palace until you can do Pod, which is a useful hint for sure. I don't think Layla's found the small key yet. It locked itself in. And it's hard to believe, but that was our first crystal. So there's a good bit of retread here. It looks like Barnage is going to dip Swamp, though. And since I didn't get to see this hint earlier, a unique item in... Alright, that was the purple chest hit, never mind. It was the Thieves sound hint I missed. Alright, looks like Zelda is also gonna go do Hera. I didn't actually see... I don't think there was anything important in Hera, so I think the logic really wants you to go to Swamp and get Nits.
For those of you who do not know, I guess since it's been 41 minutes, we're retreading a little bit. These are open mode seats. All 15 qualifiers will be open mode. If you're interested in Randomizer, this is a great weekend that happens to be a long weekend for like a quarter of North America. There is going to be a qualifier every day from now till Monday, and in fact, even Tuesday and Wednesday may have qualifiers.
Yeah, they got 15 of them to hold, so they're definitely trying to get them in as quickly and as best fit for all the runners as possible. Alright, so both Lyra and Barnage both made their way to Swamps, so if they do end up killing Argus, they will be on Titan's Mitts. Well, Barnage will be at Gloves, Lyra will be at Titan's Mitts and have a lot more options at their disposal. Like, Mitts opens up Dark Death Mountain. It actually opens up Mire area, at least. It does not open Ice yet, because we still don't have the means to burn an entrance. And we know there's an item in the purple chest as well, so it opens up that avenue. So based on the fact that there's actually not much to check, I imagine that Zelda is eventually, and not too long from now, going to be cornered into going to Eastern Palace to get his missing glove. And Barge will likely follow suit. Both our red side light runners are also going to be skipping the left side of Swamp.
Looks like most runners are actually doing Swamp.
Yeah, I want to say there's just not many other locations they can actually check right now. And just as another kind of interesting note, Barnage here is the only one who actually killed Blind, so if there's something on Pedestal, he's got a bit of a step up on that. Thing is, we still need a couple more items before we can get to Pedestal. Actually, at this point, can we even... I don't know if the Pedestal is actually even on the table.
I don't think so.
I don't think it is.
Not with the hint we got.
Yeah, I think the only way it is if Mire's medallion happens to be there.
I think, yeah, that's pretty much always the case. Like, if one of the two, the medallion is usually the thing on the pedestal. But yeah, it would be very unlikely at this point, now that we know that the fire rod is bow locked.
Yeah. That is a huge hint, though. It may deter people from checking Pod, though I think Zelda kind of has to. I think it's his only locations that are in Eastern, which he can check conveniently right afterwards, or before even.
Which will lead him to his other glove if he decides to do Eastern right after. Which is actually why I earlier said that I prefer to skip Eastern if it looks like Aga is going to be on the table. Because, you know, you'll usually find the mirror.
Yeah, our swords were Kakariko Village, Paradox Cave, Sahasrara and Back of Escape. Alright, so that is mitts for Layra, going to be the first runner to obtain mitts. Alizen will be right behind them, most likely. As every runner proceed... Well, no, Alizen actually is going to check the left side.
Alizen getting stuck a little bit there. I hate that little bug.
Yeah. Layra checking Meyer, getting a heads up on what medallion is necessary for this location, and checking the few items that they can.
Alizen doing left side.
It is Bombos to enter Meyer. And I couldn't see it, but from the sounds of it, it was just money in the chests in the shed. Oh yeah, as Chad just pointed out there, I think Alizen almost flooded the key there.
Yep. I'm so glad there's a little bit of a buffer there.
Oh yeah, we can also check out Desert and fully clear that.
Yep. There's actually quite a bit that we have access to at the moment, and if we have both gloves. Unfortunately, the gloves are kind of in two very different spots, so...
Yeah. So that puts Layra and Alizen on our screen at a big advantage. That hint was old news. Flute was one of the first things we found.
Yep. We are seeing Zelda do these chests, which these are not quote-unquote locked because of Randomizer. Still worthwhile to pick these up, get those extra keys.
Yeah. So he can check, I believe, every single location now except for Hell. Though I believe he made use of a glitch, technically, to do that with the bottle potion drinking. I forget exactly how that particular glitch works. It's a more recent one. Alright, I believe last item is... either the, I think it's on Lamos, but it might be the map. I may have not seen that correctly. Zelda trying to do a hammer jump from the looks of it, or at least tried to. Gonna just take the... Or they just got hit blocked by the helm, actually. Either or. I was not actually paying attention to Alizen dipping left side, but based on the tracker, we can assume there was nothing important on the left side of the swamp.
No. Turned out to be a worthwhile stip for Zelda and Maximum.
And Layra skipping too.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, the chances of there being something over there is low. If you've done everything else and there are 2 items left, it's probably worth it, like, to go back and do it.
Yeah. Alright, so we have 3 of the seeds bottles now. Layra working on the Lambolas. Could use Ice Rod on these, but due to its slower speed, it's not as easy to hit the Lambola with, unlike the Fire Rod. So some runners will opt to not use it. Just a heart container, though. Alizen also working on Argus right now. Due to having Tempered Sword, this fight is going a little faster than it did for Zelda. Zelda was on Master Sword when he came in to fight Argus. Alright, so Layra is going to check Checkerboard Cave and then has to pick a new destination. Zelda now in the Eastern is going to probably get up to Titan's Mitts as well. As Spike Cave got checked as well. Heart container there and in checkerboard. And it looks like Lyra's deciding that the next locations that should be checked are Dark Death Mountain. And while they're doing that, they might want to consider looking for what the Turtle Rock Medallion is, just because even with the Fire Rod locked behind Helmosaur, there's still a chance Turtle Rock has like a convoluted path to find an item in it. Lyra gets the block clip in Super Bunny Cave. What's in here? There's the bow. So this siege just comes down to a matter of where's Bombos? That is the one unknown at this point, keeping the seed from being in a go mode scenario.
That bow find is pretty big. That opens up quite a bit once we beat Helma.
Yeah, because that Fire Rod gives you access to pretty much every other dungeon you need to clear, with the exception of Mire. Turtle Rock's Medallion is getting checked.
May as well know it. There's
Ether.
Okay.
So,
that means...
if we find Ether, we may be concerned. If we find Quake, we'll be indifferent because it has no purpose, this seed. Alright, so Zelda has their gloves and is now checking the Mire area as well. What this also means, too, due to the fact that Mire is a 5/6 crystal, Pyramid Fairy is completely off the table for anything that we're missing. And I don't think Lyra has dipped Pod yet at all, so... this is going to be a one-trip dive into this dungeon for him. So we got all our runners kind of retracing old ground here, kind of just covering what they have missed and having acquired some things. In terms of who might be in the lead currently, it's probably Lyra, just due to having the bow. But I would say no one's all that far behind. And actually, thinking about it again, don't we have an important item in the purple chest to try and find?
We do, actually, but at this point, I guess it would just be a medallion. But that is something to keep in mind for the runners who did check that hint.
Yeah, I think almost everyone actually checked that hint from what I saw. So I imagine when Lyra is done here, they will clear out both Pod and Eastern, so they don't have to come back over here. They will either clear Skull or they will go straight to the Smiths and figure out what's in that purple chest and go from there. Because if you can go mode Ice Palace, you definitely want to. Oh, I missed that hint earlier. Magic Powder and Mimic Cave. So rip any and all refill freebies this seed. Also, to answer our question in chat, Armos do not have an item. We found everything in Eastern.
Is there potentially vague hints besides weapon? Yes, all hints are vague. Well, sorry, some hints are vague because there's two different kinds of items, or hints. One is where it vaguely tells you a type of item at a location, and one where it tells you what items are at a difficult or annoying location. So the annoying difficult locations will tell you exactly what items are there. The other items will the other one will tell you where a vague item location is. So like, we know a unique item is at purple chest, but we could have also had a hint that said Bombos is at purple chest, for instance.
Alright, so Allison with their items is, I think, immediately doing that Smith route we were just discussing. Not having access to the bow yet, not having gone back up to Death Mountain to get it, this does make sense. So we will see if this Hammer Pegs or Purple Chest has anything important. We know Purple Chest has something, but a unique item could be, like, it could be the Bug Net, potentially. Or the Shovel, or the Book. The Shield. Barnage, meanwhile, is now working on Eastern, gonna get his missing pair of gloves as well. And Lyra's just doing the works on Pod. Although now, knowing where the powder is, that's another amusing potential premise, is if we have to go into Turtle Rod to get the magic powder to get something from Bat. That would suck. But man, would it be funny. Alright, what is our unique item? It's Bombos.
And I believe that means we are in no mode?
We are indeed in no mode, so if Lyra, when he finishes Pod in Eastern, goes straight to do the Smiths, he will be in go mode and will be able to complete the seed.
Well, let's see if they go that way.
Everyone else is missing the bow, and because Allison found Bombos before the bow, they're not going to go dip Mire for items.
Not the worst thing. The biggest time loss is going to end up probably being ice.
Yeah. Although Allison's also going to lose a little bit of time fighting Vitreous semi-inefficiently. You'd much rather have a bow for that. Doesn't mean there aren't fast ways they could kill Vitreous, though. When did we find Half Magic, by the way? I noticed 2 of our runners have it.
I did not notice it. My brain kind of shuts off for any item that isn't progression. Or at least it leaves my brain shortly after.
Kings
Thank you
2,
very much,
okay,
Iceman.
thank you, chat. And yeah, that is our restreamer, Iceman. Alright, Zelda also gonna get access to the Bombos medallion. Interesting to see what happens with him now, knowing this. He's gonna go to ice. And Barnage now checking Swamp because he was a little late getting those mitts. Not Swamp, Mire. Lyra is going to get their Fire Rod, which means they just need to get that Bombos Medallion. The bow is in Super Bunny Cave. Lyra is the only one who has gone back up to Dark Death Mountain.
Look in the spike chest in Mire.
I suppose the one other item that these runners might potentially try to look for is silvers, but I would imagine anybody racing in these qualifiers, or at least most people racing in these qualifiers, know how to do silverless Ganon. So yeah, I would definitely say just due to the fact that the Bombos is a big misleading factor as to where the bow is. Lyra definitely has the lead of the runners we can see here. A unique item is a Misery Mire. Oh boy.
And that unique item is the book.
Yeah. Which leads to even more red herrings. So yeah, if Lyra does go straight to the Smiths, you get a go mode for Skullwoods, Ice Palace, and Misery Mire. I hadn't been paying attention to it. I'm not sure if if Alazan found the big key. I believe from the path they're taking, they definitely have. But I don't know where. I did not see if this was a God Mire or not. That was a lengthy hint for Swamp Palace Big Key and a mapper in the west wing of Swamp Palace. Which is actually information Zelda did not know. It's information that only, I believe, Alazan knew. Four bosses down for Lyra. 3 crystals left to claim. Alright, so Lyra's definitely going to 3, but where are they going? They're gonna do Skull first. Really, Bombos or not, Skullwoods is gonna take the same time to complete. I would just hope for Lyra's sake that they do the Smith route before Ice Palace, so they're gonna take just as much time as everybody else is clearing it.
I'm not sure what, oh. I was then going for that other, chest there. I was interested.
They may have been going for an extra heart, because they were kind of low on hearts.
No bow, so you're gonna have to, so they're just gonna do cape dashes.
No half magic. I don't know if that's enough to actually... No, it is. Okay. More or less enough to get through all the eyes. Now, some C2 dread fighting Mafiola. This is blessedly not one of them. Lyra's more than decked out for that fight. Vinny goes down. I believe we found every item in the dungeon. So... Get in, get out for Alazan. Zelda working on clearing out the remainder of the ice items. Barnage doing the Smith's route now is actually going to get Bombos also before the bow. So the only runner we can see that is not going to be doing the same kind of goose chase is Lyra. Yeah, to answer the question in the chat, qualifiers are only open mode. It's not until we reach group and brackets where things start getting mixed up a bit. Yeah, Tempered Sword, Red Mail, Fire Rod, Moth is not going to do anything. Unfortunately, because Lyra still does not know where Bombos is, he is going to check the remaining items in the dungeon before leaving.
Barnage is about to get his Bombos.
Yep, looks like Alice is going to go buy some capacity upgrades.
Doesn't take long, and they do refill it, so that is not a awful idea while you're there.
Yeah, plus it doesn't hurt to have a little extra bombs. The arrows are usually not necessary, but typically there are times where you could use a few extra bombs.
If you're not confident with your bomb jump, for doing it right away.
Yeah, that's probably part of why Allison just grabbed those. Zelda now also going to go dip Mire. But it looks like Barnage is actually making the smart call. He is not going to dip Mire. He is not going to Ice. He's going to Dark Death Mountain. He's checking the rest of what the mitts provided him before taking steps further with Bombos, and it's going to pay off for him big time because it means he just needs to get his Fire Rod and he'll be in go mode.
I love that there is an interest in, like, they know where all the items are. Like, they know that there's an item on, like, they just don't know where the bow is. That's, oh, whoops. Barnage, we haven't randomized these yet.
Everybody is either going to be amused or frustrated when someone eventually implements that. And Lyra's going to go do the Smith path, so they're going to be in go mode in just a couple minutes here. By the same extent, though, once Barnage has his bow, he will just have to go kill Helmasaur and he'll be in go mode. So given the paths that Zelda and Allison have now pursued, how much further behind would you say they are in comparison to both Lyra and Barnage here?
Well, I don't think either of them have the Fire Rod hint. But it's not like that hint doesn't really matter. It's just like, it's rough to make that decision to go up.
Yeah, I think Zelda has the hint because he did go up to Hera, but Allison I don't think has done Hera yet, so they didn't know. See, yeah, Barnage he knows what he has left to do. Lyra does not, and oh, this is gonna cost Lyra a little bit of time. They're gonna try and route a couple more out of the way locations in with this chest.
Once they open up that chest.
Yeah, once it's open, he is in go mode and has just 2 dungeons left to clear. Both of which are very good go mode dungeons. Barnage will be able to do similar, though still has Pod and Eastern to clear out. At this point, though, Barnage is literally just on get Pod Big Key if you don't have it yet and go kill Helmasaur. And based on how Barnage is moving, I would presume that he does have the Big Key already. Yeah, it totally does. So he is just straight go mode for the remaining 4 dungeons he has to clear. Layra's gonna go quickly check King's Tomb and not lose the chest. The chest is not being cooperative in that location. You get the half magic at least for checking this location. It's gonna be close, but I think Layra is going to enter go mode just before Barnage, barring this chest isn't in an unclaimable location, which it looks like it might be.
Oh no.
Gonna have to go reclaim the chest. That is very unfortunate positioning for that.
Yeah, the hitbox is atrocious on that.
So on our stream here, the real, who wins this race is probably going to be between Layra and Barnage. Zelda and Allison, having checked these extra locations and had full clearing 2 dungeons they didn't have to full clear, are going to take a lot longer to get through this. Alright, who's going to get their go mode first? Will it be Barnage or Layra? Looks like it's gonna be Layra by 5 seconds because of Helmasaur's explosion.
It's just so, if you had read every hint, you would know where everything is, or at least roughly, fairly much earlier. But none of our runners had read every hint.
Yeah. Also, I was a little bit off on Barnage. I forgot he still has to do Skull as well. So Barnage has 4 dungeons left to clear out, but they're all straight to the back and go. In fact, the only dungeon left he needs a big key for that he hasn't found already is Myers. So yeah, Layra definitely has the time advantage currently over Barnage. Zelda now going back up on Hera, must be checking his book, and then checking Dark Dead Mountain. Just bombs on the Ether Tablet. Can we at least imagine that Phoenix Wright just shouts objection when he's reading the book, no matter whether he can read it or not? Alright, looks like it was not a God Mire. The big key is a little further in.
Being too dismissive, I think that the bombs and arrows are actually slightly more exciting to have.
Yeah. It depends on your stance. If you're someone like me who kind of relied on those freebie upgrades at times, it sucks a little bit, but if you're someone who doesn't mind, at least it's another use for your money if you want to make use of it. Because let's face it, you get a lot of money in Randomizer, and in the vanilla game, you're supposed to use that money to get the upgrades anyways. Alright, Zelda is now in go mode. Well, no, not yet. Technically in go mode, he knows what a fire rod is. But, not in the full sense, he doesn't have it in his possession.
What is?
He
Oh,
ran out of
out
arrows.
of arrows. Oh. Remembering that the fire rod deals a lot of damage.
I think the reason he's out of arrows is to remember he just went into pod.
Right.
So he was probably short a few arrows coming in here. Alright, so Zelga's path here is pretty obvious. Kill Helma, kill Armos, kill Bothula, go to Ganon's tower.
Barnage actually is grabbing his golden sword. No silvers found, actually, just noticed.
Yeah, unless they're in GT, I have a feeling we're probably not going to find them. Because we've checked most of the other locations that are available. Barnage going into ice now. I'm a little surprised he didn't maybe just think about buying the arrow capacity to refill his arrow count, but I don't know, maybe he's got other plans. It's definitely a chocobo. I forgot about that being the bunny sprite for the Cactuar. Later, we're gonna do spin strats on Vitreous. I may have forgotten he was low on health, though.
Somebody made a decent point that we actually had a completely unnecessary and inaccessible Turtle Rock.
That's definitely nice in a qualifier race, not having to worry about, do you have to go into this high gamble risk dungeon that has 5 items in it? So Lyra's just got ice left, and Zelda very soon is going to be in Gomo as well with just Eastern and Skull left. 2 very quick dungeons to clear.
Just a reminder that while we're in go mode and everything, is if you still want to play in these qualifiers, there's still 12 chances. You do need to play in at least 4, technically. 5 is the max you can play in. It is highly recommended to play in all 5, as your best and worst time are discarded. If you do not play in a 5th race, they will just consider that 5th race as a infinite time that is discarded. So, but it still you should play. It's the qualifiers can only get better with more people.
Yeah, the more people that play, the more interesting they'll be.
And if you get past this stage, it'll be random modes. Well, not random. You get to pick a mode, your opponent picks a mode, and then there's a random mode, and you get to play 3 races. Have you always wanted to play old dungeons? Well, there you go.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, there are some options that are restricted until bracket phase, but most of them are available to all runners come group phase. Alright, so Alizin now has their bow. And Barnage quickly annihilates Cold Stare. With Butter's Sword, you can very quickly just smash him into the corner and destroy him.
Alizin is finally going to get their Fire Rod shortly.
Yep, that is their next location. And they cleared out most of Pod already, so it's just a straight shot to Helm at this point.
We actually have very few dungeons left to do, so they are not that far behind. Zelda Addison, also same thing, just says Desert Palace and Stall Woods.
Eastern Palace, but yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Zelga's very close. Despite having done both Ice and Mire, he's made great pace getting through them to still be a contender in this. He was the first one to dip Swamp, though, so that did, at least in part, help him out. Even if he was not the first to get the Titan's Mitts. Yeah, most of our runners after doing Eastern actually are somewhat low on arrows because Zelga's down to 3 now. Looks like Barrage got enough drops to get back up to about 20 though. But Zelga just has Skull left. If he doesn't find a few arrows in Skull Woods, he will have to find a few more before climbing the tower. But Lyra's about to kill their last boss, so they will most likely be our first runner into Ganon's tower. But with Zelga only having one left and making his way right to it, he will probably be second in there. Oh, and because of the earlier key choice that Alazun picked, going to the left side instead of the right, they actually don't have the big key yet. There it is.
Not having the big key is always awkward.
Yeah. Alright, Lyra's going up to GT. Means it's time to try and guess where that big key is today. And I could not tell you this time around. I really couldn't. I'm gonna take a stab, say it's in the 9th chest. Alright, Lyra going to climb the mountain. Zelga's gonna be right behind him. The only ball, I don't believe the ALTTPR channels have the command. Only the speed gaming ones do.
That's right. It is a speed demon game, and not in groups anyway, so.
Yeah, I imagine once we get to the group stage, the guessing will actually start up a bit more, but while we're in qualifiers, there's not much of a reason. Zelga made a quick potion stop before heading up the mountain. Only on 11 hearts, but with red mail. It could still make a difference. Yeah, that is also true. When we have 2 streams going, it hardly matters to do the big key guess game when you can just look at the other stream if they're ahead and see what the number was. But Lyra has entered. And Alzin has killed Helm, so they are now in official go mode as well. Start with 2 small keys, and Lyra's going to opt to go to the right side. Barnage is going to his last dungeon now, which is Skull Woods, and Zelga is on his way to the tower. So let's see what's in chests 3 through 6 for Lyra's route. As a side note, if Zelga does find the key sooner, we're going off of Lyra's count. It's whoever enters the dungeon first. It is not on right side. grab the spare key for safety, and goes to the left side. As Zelda and Lyra kind of high-five and diverge off that mirror. Bob's torch is a key, so rip Bob this run. Zelda is also going to go to the right side, so that's not any difference in time between these two. Chest 8 has ether. Chest 9 has bombs.
Hey, we can get into Turtle Rock.
11 has the big key.
That fairy's in the aggravatingly annoying spot to get that health refill.
Well, amusingly, if you went left and checked this chest in the exact same order that Lyra did from bottom left to bottom right, ending on bottom right, that is chest number 7, but in this instance it was not. So Lyra just has a GT ascent left ahead of him. No silvers to make some of these shots easier, but he only needs his arrows for this. He doesn't have to worry about using them on Ganon unless he finds the silvers on the way up. Barnage is now at 7 crystals. He's going to make his way up the mountain. Alzen does somewhat quick kill the Armos. It wasn't, I think, the usual quick kill. And just has to go back to Skull Woods. Lyra gonna use the red potion they had from way earlier in the run to take a refill before Gauntlet. Making quick work of these rooms so far.
Silvers must be in probably TR at this point. We've seen almost everything else.
Yeah, they're either in TR or somewhere deeper in GT, because at this point I wouldn't go hunting anywhere else. Unless they're on Bombo's tablet. I don't think anyone checked that. Or Fat Fairy. That there's somewhere we don't really care, is more or less the point. Almost gets the quick kill on the Lambos. One got away. Zelda enters Gauntlet as Lyra finishes up most of it. Carnage enters GT. Alzen working their way to the Moth. Those kind of Samaria quick kill strats will never get old to me. They're very flashy and very effective on these Wiz ropes.
Agreed. I mean, there's actually even flashier looking bows set up, but no reason to do that when you have the Tina Samaria. It is used in the more glitched modes where you don't end up getting Tina Samaria. Or really any other item.
There also are those rare instances where in a seed you won't get the cane anyways, but the people who know that are probably for more so the modes you just described, the ones who play the glitched modes where you don't normally get the cane. Lyra is gonna look for some items. Another potion's pretty nice. Barnage has found the big key, making his way up. Lyra's got one more chest that he can check for silvers. The one that Moldorm guards. And there's Quake.
Yeah, last medallion.
We have completed our coin collection, but we have not gotten the silver to kill the pig more efficiently. Ah well. Lyra and Allison are on Tempered Sword. Actually, Allison's on Butter Sword. Lyra's on Tempered Sword. Should still not have much issues with Silverless. Those first couple Aga patterns didn't look too good. This one looks pretty good, though. It looks like that looked like a 1-1-2-2, so the 4-cycle Aga. Zelda enters as Lyra leaves. And it's looking like Zelda's having more or less the same fight with Aga here. Or as I've counted 1-1-2-2 as well. Now, well, he actually missed one there, so he's got to get one more hit in. So Lyra with Tempered Sword's gonna need 12 slashes at Ganon for the first 2 phases. Anybody with Butter, which actually happens to include Zelda here, they only need 6 per phase. So in particular, it will probably mean 1 less cycle on phase 1 for Zelda. Lyra being on phase 3 now only has to deal with 1 slice per teleport. When Ganon takes a break from teleporting. Alright, Lyra's on the 4th phase. Silverless Ganon can be helped a lot. They're in his tower, by the way. The Silvers are in his tower. It can help if you get Torch glitch like Lyra just did there. If you light the left torch before the right one goes out, the left torch will only go out and the right one will never go out. And as for hitting Ganon during Silverless, like Lyra's doing here, you need to do spins. You need to spin Ganon 12 times just before he teleports. There's a very small few frame window where he's vulnerable. Lyra and Zelda are both going at the pig here, and Barnage will not be far behind them, but from looks of it, this is going to be these racers, Lyra's race to lose. And down he goes.
GG to Lyra. To give an idea for everyone who is known, now that we've known some things, I'll read up to Lyra's position. We have Mentos Man 8, Sea Falcon, and ACM LM are the top 3. The way that these qualifiers are done is that the top 3's time will be averaged, and everyone else's time will be compared to the average of the top 3. So, Mentos Man, Sea Falcon, and ACM LM's average times between 128, 133, and 131 will be what everyone is ranked against. From there, we've got Jet in 4th and Lyra in 5th.
Yeah, Lyra finished officially in 1 hour, 33 minutes, and 42 seconds.
So congratulations to those 5 runners for the top 5. Obviously, yeah, 96 get through.
Yeah, but it looks like Zelda has also finished up on our restream here. Does that mean first has a negative time comparison? I think so, yes.
No, other way around. They will have an above 1.0 time comparison. Everyone else will be between. Actually, let me pull up the score and I can kind of show. If you
while
join
that is
the tournament,
going on,
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
while that's going on, Frame finished in 6th and Buane in 7th, both at about a minute 34 seconds. Zelda clocked in at 8th with 1 hour, 34 minutes, and 35 seconds.
Yeah, so...
Barrage will...
Sorry, go ahead. No.
Barrage will probably be next to finish on our stream. We'll get his time when he finishes.
So, for example, right now, Cine, who won the first one, and PRD1, who won the second one, both have above 1.0. So, everybody above 1. Everyone above 1.0 means that they got above the first place time. Currently, there are 3. Now, with that being said, the best time of everyone's is removed. So, you cannot coast on one good race like in the tournament 1 year ago with the old Z-Store system. Some people just won a race and then they were in. They didn't have to race again because their time was too good.
Nope, Barge spun a little early there on Ganon.
Yes, between Lyra and Zelda Addison, there was Fermi and Wayne, who finished in 6th and 7th. Yes, 96 slots and no runner auto-qualified. So everyone has to earn their place. The interesting thing is that there are a lot of top runners who took a break from this tournament specifically. So just because too many tournaments in a row, it's something somebody figured out that there's been like 700 and plus days of randomizer tournaments in a row.
Yeah, you can probably burn out from that pretty easily, I would imagine.
And if you take into account, and that's not taking into account the fact that there was the entrance tournament and the 2v2 mystery mode tournament between there.
Alright, with Barrage having finished, his SRL time was 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 47 seconds, which gave him 17th place.
Between him and Zelda Addison, there was J Masher, Keon, Korek, Bonta, Ninban, Hashel, Pika Pals, and Hacksaw.
Which means on our stream here, all that we have left to keep an eye on is Allison. And they're not going to be too much further, being already at this point against our...
The our stream was actually had pretty good placements.
Yeah.
The pad tightened up directly after, like around maximum Barnage's time, though.
Yeah, there's a very large number of placements right after Barnage. I will say that effect. Oh,
sorry. We're joined by Zelda Addison. We will not be. Lyra will not be joining us, but Zelda Addison is here. Congratulations on. It was 5th.
8th place.
8th place.
No voice from Zelda. Give it a minute, we'll probably figure that out.
Zelda Addison is getting no audio from us. So he's gonna restart and see if that fixes it.
Alright. And Allison just took out Moldorm too, so they are on their way to the endgame, completing their coin collection.
And if you were interested in running these seeds, obviously, I mean, you've watched the whole thing, so maybe you're not, but for any that you missed, if you want to compare yourself to other runners, the other seeds are in the Discord, the ALTTPR Randomizer Tournament Discord.
Yeah, I believe they get released post race once everybody's finished.
Once it's finished and recorded. Hello, Zelda Addison? Or Maximum Barge?
That is Zelda again.
That is Zelda.
But it seems there may still be problems. Yeah, still not getting anything from Zelda.
Hey, how about now?
There you are.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Hints are great.
Hints are very interesting. Yeah, got a lot of info this time, most of which was very helpful.
Yeah.
Hints
Oddly,
have a very interesting layer. Also, we have Barnage in the waiting room.
congratulations on a pretty good finish, Maxwell.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it worked out okay.
Yeah, 17's not bad placement. You definitely dodged a bullet, though, in finding the bow before checking the Bombo space locations. You didn't have to clear out all of ice and mire looking for items.
Yeah.
Well, I was looking at my map tracker, and the only overworld locations I had left were the ones on Death Mountain. So it was like, well, I guess I'll just take the 2 minutes and check those before I go dungeon diving for my last items. So.
Yeah, I guess just to give you two a little bit of an idea of what happened from our end. Of the four of you that we featured, which were Lyra, you Zelda, you Barnage, and Allison here, who is still wrapping up. Lyra was the only one who found the bow prior to Bombos.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense based on their finish.
Yeah, it cut out the guesswork on the remaining dungeons and allowed for a Go Mode Mire and a Go Mode Ice to very peacefully round out the seed.
Yeah, I felt like the seed was really linear. Like, you basically just had to do everything. Like, there wasn't a whole lot of ways around it.
Yeah, I got sent a little bit off a trail because I saw the hint with the unique item in Mire, and I was really hoping that was going to be the bow. So, and then it was a book, but that at least told me, hey, I guess I got Ether Tablet, and then I can go do the Death Mountain stuff. So it wasn't too bad.
It actually, I mean, you guys both say it's linear, but we actually were watching essentially 4 different races after the Adenum, because some people already had gloves when they got to Swamp. They had Titans. Some people read the hint at Swamp, so they knew about the purple chest. Some didn't, but then those people didn't read the other hint. It was quite interesting.
Where was the Mire hint? I didn't get that one.
The Mire
ice.
Yeah, I think it was the drop down on that big ice floor room. Or no, wait, no, I think it was the double Stalfos.
Yeah, I got to enter ice in Go mode, so I didn't have to check that. So.
Yeah.
Real quick, Allison took a fall during Ganon, so they gotta make their way back up and restart the fight.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's another factor. Lyra had mitts before either of you, and then found that bow, so it's like, well, we know who's in the lead.
Yeah, I mean, Mitz was literal last location for me. I had nothing else.
Yeah, that was a little unfortunate for you. Still finished pretty well despite that.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, the point was, like, no matter how you routed this seed, you basically had to do everything. Like, you had to go all the way through Pendant Swamp. You had to go into Pendant Thieves Town. You couldn't do Pendant Turtle Rocks, you couldn't really make that mistake. If you got the hint, you dodged left side swamp, so everyone probably should have done that. And like basically there was no reason to avoid most things. I'd say like the only things that I think that I did that maybe others didn't do were the castle escape and then going back up north for the boots lock locations.
I think everybody checked those locations. Allison actually did end up checking left side because they were there at the time and decided they didn't want to come back.
Yeah, I didn't see the hint about left side swamp until I had already skipped it. And even then, it didn't really help me because it just told me the big key was over there, so whatever was in the chest.
Yeah, it was the Thieves Town hint that really helped. It just said that there was money in the big chest, So once you got 5 items going straight to the back, you could just leave.
Ah, okay. See, I
That's
dipped
what
out of
that-
Thieves Town immediately after I got the
That's
mirror.
what that hint was. I actually did not see it when it came up.
Yeah, the hints were super helpful this seed. Like, I guess except that Meyer
It's a
hint
secret
that
to
I didn't
everybody,
see.
and a couple other unhelpful old news hints, and I guess the book if you count that.
Well, unlike the last qualifier, the hints at least weren't actively misleading. Like in the last in the last qualifier, so many people got thrown off by a couple of the hints that like it led to some really unfortunate finishes from otherwise really competent runners.
From what I'm reading, actually, this one, some people got thrown off because they read the Meyer hint really early. So a lot of people did Meyer, and a few people did Swamp because of the Swamp hint.
Well, I mean, you had to do Swamp because that's the only way to get your mitts.
Right, but so people did left side is the thing.
Right, yeah. So I mean, yeah, that was a good hint. That saved 2 minutes. Knowing where Bombos was, or that there was a unique item at Purple Chest, which turned out to be Bombos, was super helpful. And then obviously the big one, the bow locking the fire rod, was like the breaker. If you didn't get that hint, I don't know what you were doing this seed.
Yeah, that was probably one of the most helpful hints you got in the entire thing, because it told you where that you needed one very important item and where another really important item was. Real quick here, Alazan did finish and got done in 49th place. There were several people who finished before them. Alazan's time is 1 hour, 46 minutes, and 5 seconds.
GG's to them.
Yeah, that's still... I think it's bottom half, but it's still not a bad time.
Yeah, I mean, that's recoverable. I mean, this structure with the way they're doing scores seems to be really forgiving. So, I mean, the fact that you're against the top 3 average times instead of just, like, whoever happened to completely destroy your race as, like, the first place average time really, really helps.
And nobody can cruise in with one good race.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a huge thing. Now, there was a lot of people who just, got lucky on this one qualifier, just not gonna race ever, and not gonna race in the next few.
That was me. I did that.
That was me.
I gamed this system last time. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I'm really a fan of the structure of the way this is done. Like
Yes.
almost 30 people finished within 10 minutes of first place. So like being punished for being that like close just feels wrong. But the way that this is being routed, it really helps make it feels more fair.
I think the best part is the best and worst get removed. So like Elm, who got Elm and the other runners who got trolled by Qualifier Race 2. Well, yes, that's out of the way. I don't have to worry about the fact you got 70th out of 89.
Yeah, just don't have another bad race is the idea. Like, the goal is to not have 2 really bad races. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to have 3 medium
by
races.
We have been joined by a remaining racer, by the way.
Yeah. Congratulations to Alazan. Still roughly in the middle, I think.
GG's.
Yeah, a little bit below the middle. Which was a little tilting watching. I think there were 2 people who had finished when I walked into GT. And I think I ended up 48th or 49th.
Yeah, I believe it was 49th overall. That Ganon fall certainly didn't help matters.
No, it cost me about 12 spots.
Oh man.
Yeah, Ganon falls. Yeah, especially in like a tight. In these races, a fall is probably like one of the most heartbreaking things. It's so easy to tell how many places you lose.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Especially Silverless.
Yeah, especially Silverless and like close to the end of the fight. I think I was at 9 or 10 spins when I fell. Just a whole lot of no thank you for that, but it is what it is.
Alright, so you've gotten a bit of how Barnage and Zelda thought about the seed. What did you think of the seed overall?
I thought it was... I don't know if it was interesting or not. I can't decide if it was super linear. Like, I felt an Agaseed pretty much from a minute or 2 in, and I tried to avoid it, but it was pretty clear at some point that there was no getting out of its way.
Yeah, we both agreed that it was super linear.
and then I did like the entire Dark War tour before I hit I hit Swamp Palace basically as soon as I could, but I had essentially cleared out Dark World by that time. Except for the fact that I left Thieves Town as soon as I got the mirror, because I got really excited. I'm like, oh, I can do a crystal. I'm gonna go do Swamp, and then I walked into Swamp and I was like, oh, this isn't the right music. Oops.
I mean, that was actually the right play though. So.
Oh no, it was absolutely the right play. There was clearly nothing in the back of Thieves Town, but it was a very scary moment for me. Especially when I went all the way through Swamp and I'm like, wow, there's nothing here.
Orange is the only one who killed blind of everybody.
That we saw. I mean, I've seen a few people say that they have in various channels, but...
Yeah, my thinking there was the seed was pointing really heavily towards Swamp, so I was pretty sure I was going to pick up another pendant, so I just didn't want to have to backtrack in case it turned out to be a pedestal seed.
Makes sense. The unfortunate thing was around the time where I think most of the runners figured that much out, we pretty much knew that there were only a couple items that could be on Ped, and I think it was just like Bombos, and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right, because Bo couldn't be on Ped. No, yeah, because Bo blocked Fire Rod.
Yeah, neither Bo nor Fire Rod could be on Ped, because Bo locked the Fire Rod behind Helm.
Yeah, I will say I put off Tower of Hera for a really long time. I wish I had gone a little earlier, although I guess all it cost me was not go-moding Ice Palace. So I didn't have that hint. So I was definitely worried about Ped too.
Oh, I had a question about the bow-locked Fire Rod hint that I wasn't sure if anyone could answer.
It's only Helmasaur, if that's your question.
Yeah, we've been informed by chat that that is coded specifically if Helmasaur has an item.
Yeah, as of right now, hints must be correct for all modes.
What about must be correct for all modes. Okay, so that means that you don't always, because of Randomizer.
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay,
only technically Bolot that should be fixed in the future, but it wasn't important enough to delay V30.
Oh, so I think it's really surprising because it's not what you would expect.
Correct.
And it's only a thing I learned in the last couple of days when I really went to read the intricacies of the hint system to make sure I was prepared, and to see that particular one was the one I found most surprising of any of the hints.
Yeah, definitely. I thought that if it said that an item locked something, that it had to be something exclusively locked by that item. I think I misunderstood that.
So the way that means is, for example, if it says that it's boots locked, that only means bond locations, not places you can also bomb to get into. So, and same for bombs. So bomb must be opened by the bombs. I think that if it's locked by bombs, I think that's Ice Rod Cave, for example. Or
Ice Rod Cave, Mini Moldorm Cave. No, not Mini Moldorm Cave. Oh yeah,
Mini Moldorm.
Hype Cave.
Those are bomb locations.
Most of it, I think.
But for example, but Race Game is not a bomb locked location because it can be reached with the mirror and the boots.
Okay, all right, that makes sense.
So it's not that it's exclusive; it's that there's no other way.
I gotcha.
So somebody posted a pretty good guide, I think, that just sort of totaled everything that you need to worry about. Because, the spot of places that are behind the hammer is both bigger than you would think and smaller than you would think simultaneously.
Yes.
It's one of those things you actually can get a lot of information from clues require a bomb or require a hammer, even though they seem like such ridiculous clues.
Yeah, because they're somewhat more specific than you'd think.
I have to say, I was not really a proponent of the hint system. I don't think Link to the Past is a big enough game to warrant it, but I do think after playing with it that it has been implemented extremely well.
I didn't like its original. I liked it at first, and then because I originally assumed that each hint tile was tied to a location, so I thought that tile in Hera always told you this location. I'm like, and then when I found out it wasn't that, I thought it was a little bit too much. The way it's implemented officially now, where it's slightly vague, is very cool and fits the original game, because the original game was intended to be played by you talking to NPCs and reading the hint tiles to discern Like Dark World was supposed to be like an open world RPG.
Yeah, I mean you're right in that, and also like I feel like the hints are not vague enough to be irritating, but just not obvious enough to like take the skill away, but like just vague enough to be skill testing.
Yeah,
like, really good.
I actually really like what it's done to routing. Like for instance, last night I was playing a seed. I was in go mode, did not have the boots, but I had and because the boots are that one item that there's always some hit corresponding to. I literally just like went. I had a unique item is behind the hammer or something that hadn't cashed out. I'm like, well, I haven't seen my boots. My hammer spots are pretty low. I actually jumped into Pendant Swamp. And oh, sorry, no, it was a unique item in Swamp Palace, so it's a better hint than that. And I jumped in and found the boots in Pendant Swamp when I was in go mode. And like, it was a gamble, but it was a time save.
That's pretty cool. That is really, really neat. I like the hint system. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I think the hints are really gonna make routing more dynamic and interesting these races.
It has won me over early.
Who played in that inverted daily where everyone is in go mode sub 40 because we knew where all the items were.
I mean, to be fair, I think inverted's actually faster than normal mode at this point by a pretty good clip.
If you actually are, if you're able to execute. Now there are some seeds that are not. Anytime Moon Pearls in Light World is a Launder seed.
Yeah, it's a little bit bimodal, but if you can get Light World access somewhat quickly, I tend to find that the seeds kind of fly by.
I had pendant. I had a go mode pearl on pedestal that required me to go to green pendant to get the item I needed to beat one of the pendants. Yeah, that was a long seed.
I need to play this mode. I've not played the inverted yet. This sounds insane.
Fire Rod was on green pendant swamp. Moon Pearl was on pedestal.
You really need to take heart what you can and can't do as a bunny unglitched to make sure you don't miss out on Moon Pearl spots. The one that really messed me up of the test seeds was there was one in Spike Cave, and it just never even occurred to me because it's Spike Cave. Like, why would the Moon Pearl be there? And by the end of it, I had bought from the bottle merchant as a bunny the entire time. I think I had turned in the green pendant as well. Like, there's so much you can do before you have Moon Pearl access that it's kind of crazy.
That's really funny.
Yeah, I think it's time to wrap this up. There is qualifiers tomorrow, Saturday, and Monday at 3:15, 4:15, and 9:15.
I think there's one on Sunday, isn't there?
Yeah, that's what I said. Tomorrow, Sunday, and Monday.
Yeah, you said
Sorry,
Saturday.
I heard Saturday. Okay.
Whoops.
I'm like, I thought I was playing in the Sunday one. Wait a minute.
Sorry. It's 3:15 Saturday, 4:15 Sunday, Monday at 1:15, and those are the start times for the stream. So if you were looking to race, that's 15 minutes before all those times.
For anyone who is curious and maybe wants to cheer on the Subvention, the remaining 2 runners that are racing. There's only 2 left at this point. 3 forfeited, but they'll probably be done relatively soon, depending on how deep in it they are.
Yeah, and reminder, there's a Tate system now, so you can actually just search Randomizer, I think, and you just basically do every randomizer period, which is very cool. I like the new Tate system on Twitch.
Well, that being said, though, if you guys like what you saw today from the 4 runners that were featured today, they all did very well in this race. Make sure you give them a follow on Twitch. They appreciate your support. I would like to give a shout out to our trackers for this race, Melee Wizard and Vince Easter. They did they did a good job today. And thank you to the restreamer for today, Iceman F1. Other than that, though, that is probably going to be it from us here. I've been Buckshabu24, and with me has been my co-com Zelnus. We will see you guys in another qualifier, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. I will not be commentating anymore because I don't have a lot of time and I need to race in 5, so peace out, everyone.
Later, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah, GG's, everyone.
Thank you. Everyone have a great night.